you think you would respond if your spouse, husband or wife, told you that they were gay? What if it happened to you in a public arena? Well, our guest tonight knows firsthand that all is not what it seems when it comes to love and politics. Our guest is Dina Matters McGreevy. She was married to the former governor of New Jersey, Jim McGreevy, when he made the announcement not only to his wife, but to the nation that he was a gay American. He subsequently resigned because there was a threat of blackmail hanging over him. She has recounted what that experience was like for her in a new book called Silent Partner, a memoir of my marriage. It's very compelling. She is also answering your questions and comments about being the so-called straight spouse. And if you have an experience that she might learn from, I'm sure that she would appreciate a call from you. Telephone lines are open. We'll give you an opportunity to speak with her in just a moment. You can also email us at cn8.tv. I'm going to return, Dina, to the telephone lines because so many people do want to talk to you, either with their personal experience or having some compassion for what you and your family went through. Let's go to Mary next. Hey, Mary, how are you?
Good. How are you tonight?
I'm
love
good,
yourself.
Thank you very much. Do you have a comment for Dina?
Yes, I just wanted to say that for her personally, that she shouldn't feel that it's anything that she was lacking in her life or her marriage, because if your spouse leaves you for another woman, then maybe you would feel it was something you weren't doing. But if your spouse leaves you for another man, that's for something that there is no way you can ever give to him. So she was probably the perfect wife, and he was with another man for something that Dina will never be able to give him.
All right,
and
Mary.
I just think she's very brave, and I just wanted to leave that comment.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mary. We appreciate it. I'm sure that it's comforting to hear people like Mary or Tom or Bonnie call and say, you know, you've done a great job and it was very difficult. But does it give you comfort to know that it's not you?
Well, you know, I've met a lot of people over the course of the last several months, especially since I wrote the book, who, you know, have said, you know, I blame myself. I just met a woman about a month ago. I was out shopping, and, you know, she turned the corner in the aisle, and she encountered me. She says, "Oh, my God, it's you. I've been trying to figure out how to get a hold of you." And she says, and then she started, you know, proceeded to tell me her story. She's known that her husband's gay for 10 years. And he's been in and out of the house and living with other men, and comes back home. And she says, well, you know, I'd rather have him home than be alone. But she's always wondering where he is when he's not home. And she says, you know, she said to me, well, perhaps if I had, you know, kept the house neater, or, you know, if I dressed a little better, or used more makeup. And I said to her, there was nothing you could have done that would have changed him. Right. And I've heard that story over and over again. Fortunately for me, I didn't feel that way. I knew that, you know, it was nothing that I had done, and I certainly couldn't have changed, you know, who he is.
But did you feel anger or frustration that he could never communicate to you what he was really feeling? Did you harbor any resentment toward him that he wasn't honest about his sexuality?
Oh, absolutely. You know, I would hope that he would have, you know, been honest from the beginning, but obviously he wanted to get elected governor. That had been his goal, you know, for many years. And he thought that he had to have a family in order to achieve that. He had to get married and have, you know, what I call the perfect looking family. That's what he had been, you know, raised to believe.
You know, in a way, it's sad when you realize that in order to live the American dream, or to reach the American dream, that you almost have to live a false life. Do you likewise, while you have some anger or resentment or frustration, do you likewise have compassion for him? Or is it tough at this point?
It's very tough. Initially, I did have a lot of compassion, and I actually felt pity for him. But, you know, his behavior since all this transpired, it has made it very difficult for me to feel compassion at this time.
Now, we have to talk about that because you detail it in the book about his behavior once he made the announcement. Most of us would probably imagine that he would be as remorseful as could be, and the first words out of his mouth once the two of you were alone would be, "Dina, I'm so sorry." Have you heard that yet?
Well, his only attempt at an apology was coming into a room after I complained to his friends that he'd never apologized and saying, "For the record, I'm sorry."